for the time being. There's not enough.
Yeah, my mom is an electrician, and she graduated in 2007.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. We're going to postpone our 4 public hearings for just a moment. So we'll go out of order unless there's an objection. So first is the roll call. Let's go. Your mouth full?
No, not anymore. Mayor Curley?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mathis?
Here.
Alderperson Blank?
Here.
Duncan?
Here.
Dunn? Here. Keane?
Here.
No.
Here.
We will proceed. We're very pleased that Pastor Tim McGee is with us tonight. Ask him to step to the podium and offer an invocation. Ask everyone to please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Reverend McGee.
Dear Heavenly Father, I've been given the honor to pray for our city tonight and our officials and our leaders. And first I want to thank you for our fair city, and I thank you for each individual in each role that they assume and that they carry leadership in. I want to pray for wisdom for each of them. We know that the Bible says if we lack wisdom, we should ask and it will be given to us. So I ask for the wisdom necessary to carry out the operation, the business of the city. I pray that you'll preside over the meeting tonight and everything will be done fair and order in an organized manner. And I pray for our country, Lord. These are perilous days, and I lift up our country, and I pray that you will continue to bless America, and that you will be with our servicemen and women as they are scattered all across the world, and just keep them safe and be with their families while they are away, and as they protect us so that we can do what we do here back on the home front. We pray that you'll guide us throughout this entire evening. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everyone. We're very glad that you're here. This is, to me, one of the most special times that the Board of Mayor and Aldermen has, that we get to host this extraordinary group of seniors. So we appreciate our seniors being with us tonight. We appreciate all the parents and friends and family being here tonight as well. So we have prepared certificates recognizing each of these young people for their accomplishments. So Ms. Keene, let me ask you to step to the podium, and you can call your students up at a time. And when we finish recognizing everybody, we're going to get a group photo here in the front. Okay, Ms. Keene, floor is yours. Alderman Keene, floor is yours.
I have Ethan Young, Lily Jenkins, Jacob Hill, and Anna Fulton.
Ms. Keene, can you read what they're being recognized?
Yes. All right. All right. Certificate of recognition presented to Ethan Young for being selected most versatile. Tullahoma High School Senior Class of 2018. Recognition presented to Lily Jenkins for being selected most versatile, Tullahoma High School Senior Class Superlative 2018. Certificate of recognition presented to Jacob Hill for being selected as friendliest, Tullahoma High School Class Superlative 2018. Certificate of recognition presented to Anna Fulton for being selected friendliest, Tullahoma High School Senior Class Superlative 2018.
Thank you, Ms. Keene.
You want a picture of them and you'll elect everybody?
We can do it, everybody at one time. Yep.
All right, thank you.
Alderman Duncan, yes, sir.
I have the honor of presenting Adam Watts. And also, with this, let me read this out later. Okay. Also, this is a poem that I've got one for each one of you. It's called Chosen. We are all admired by others who see something in us they wish they had. Whether or not you accept it, you are an example, good or bad. Every day you live your life, someone is watching you, seeking direction for themselves on just what or what not to do. Never think you are where you are simply by what you have done. There is a much higher order in life that oversees everyone. You were chosen by friends and peers to succeed in things you're most likely to do, but most of all, you were chosen by God, who has His perfect plan for you. The next presentation to Alexis Holt.
Alderman Duncan, where are they being recognized?
Okay, I'm sorry. Alexis Holt for being selected as neatest Tullahoma High School senior class of Burlington 2018. Congratulations. Jessica McChesney for being selected as most school-spirited Tullahoma High School senior class superlative 2018. Thought I had enough one, but I don't.
Alderman Black.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to address all you superlatives. Thank you for attending Tullahoma High School. That's where I graduated as well as many people here. Parents in the audience, thank you for raising fine kids. I know you all didn't do it by yourselves, but you had a lot of help. From kindergarten, elementary, middle school, up into high school. Y'all should be proud of yourselves, and I hope you go into college and do great things, and you'll come back to Tullahoma hopefully one day. Right? I came back. Shot Tullahoma as well. It's my honor to recognize the wittiest superlatives. Y'all must have jokes handy. Not so much. Renee Goodwin. Not present. That's her job. And Andy. Call me up. Next superlatives are Mr. and Mrs. THS. I had a Mr. THS in my house about 4 years ago, and time will just go poof, and then y'all be graduating from college. I promise. It goes quick, man.
Don't say that.
I hate to say it, but it does happen. Miss THS is Rachel Courtney. Mr. THS, Sam Usselton.
Did someone get 2 certificates a minute ago? No?
I'm the wittiest girl up there. Do I need to get it?
I gave whoever I gave one to. I think I gave an extra one too, with Duncan on it.
Okay, we'll get it sorted out. Yes, thank you. Mr. Mathis, Alderman Mathis.
I'll take care of that.
Recognition presented to Bethany Watkins, most talented. Caleb Purdue, most talented. Most athletic, Maury Burks. And most athletic, Lauren Lester.
Thank you, Mr. Mathis. Yes, sir.
It's exciting to see several old faces. So congratulations, and this is it, right? And y'all, this is the end, right? Not really, right? This is the beginning. You guys are on to bigger and better things, and then you're coming back. Thank you guys, and congratulations. I've got some very talented folks. Mr. Caleb Purdue, being recognized for National Merit Finalist. Evan Sharp. For achieving a perfect ACT score. Alexis Holt. Another National Merit Finalist. Bradley Holmes. Another National Merit Finalist.
Thank you, Mr. Alderman. Alderman Lewis.
What a group. Tullahoma can be proud. I know the parents are proud. I think the entire city should be proud of this group. Congratulations to all. I'd like to recognize again Bradley Holmes. Bradley Holmes is for achieving the honor of salutatorian. And another rerun we've got here for achieving the honor of valedictorian, Sam Russell. And now, class officers for achieving the office of Vice President, Rihanna Merritt. And finally, for achieving the office of President of Tullahoma High School Senior Class of 2018, President Bradley Holmes. Congratulations all.
And I'm pleased to recognize all of you as well for the work that you've done on. Pleased to recognize Ms. Alafani for most likely to succeed. And most likely to succeed, Bradley Holmes. And the student body president, Tullahoma High School Senior Class 2018, Ms. Alafani. And the student body vice president, Tullahoma High School Senior Class 2018, Topaz Fergosa. Okay, so if all of you would shift over this way and face me.
We should like, fan them out like flooding.
So first, thank you for being here tonight. We are pleased to recognize you for your many achievements. We are proud of you. You are leaders today, and I'm confident you will be our leaders tomorrow. But let me tell you why you are really here. I want you to hear firsthand that we want you and your fellow classmates to continue your education, work a few years, then come back to Tullahoma. I suspect most, if not all of you, are ready to leave Tullahoma. I know I was 44 years ago. But something drew me back, and I hope those of you who choose to leave will want to return as well. You probably don't appreciate it fully now, but this is a good community made up of many hardworking, compassionate people. Many people in Tullahoma are working hard to design and build a community you will want to return to and raise your families. You want a safe community with good schools, promising careers, friendly neighborhoods, and plenty of entertainment options. We have some of these attributes now, and we're working hard on the others. So in the near future, come on back and help build a Tullahoma that you want and what future generations of high school seniors will want. We'll leave the lights on for you. Thank you for being here tonight. You have helped make Tullahoma the class community it is today. So thank you. Okay, now I want, if you would, step up here and just organize yourself on those two steps, and I'm going to call on your principal, Rose, to say a few words, and Director of Schools, Dr. Dan Lawson, to say a few words. Okay, so if you would, step right and turn around. Mrs. Rose, Dr. Lawson, let me recognize you at this time for any comments that you would like to make.
Now, they will rescind all certificates if you can't get yourselves in order. So just understand
I'm not a big fan of popularity contests, but I've got to tell you, when I saw that list of senior superlatives, I smiled all the way through that announcement because your class did a great job of recognizing your talents. So every one of you deserve the honor that you have been awarded. And I'll make it quick, but I think the audience needs to know. Just in this group standing here in front of you, our class has 3 National Merit finalists. We have, is it 5 or 6 commended? 5, okay. 5 commended students. We have 2 students from this class who have been accepted at service academies. We have 3, and if I've missed somebody, I don't think so, 3 students in this group who just completed our first Certified Nursing Assistant program at Tullahoma High School. And on Sunday, they are going to sit for their state board tests. They pass those. They are going to be the first graduates of Tullahoma High School to leave with a board certification, and they will have a stole that will indicate they are students of distinction. I told Dr. Lawson when we got here, I said, you know, you probably ought to do the talking instead of me because I really don't know that many of these people. And then I looked at that group over there and I realized, oh my gosh, I do know you. I do know you because we've sat around tables together and we have planned activities and we've talked about what can we do to improve our pride in our school. What can we do to improve our school spirit? I have gone to Hawaii with you. I have hugged you on the football field when it was all over with. You're just a wonderful, wonderful group. And it makes me so proud to be able to say that I'm your principal. I'm going to step away from the mic now because I think Dr. Lawson should have the privilege of being able to speak to his last graduating class at Tullahoma High School. But thank you. Thank you for everything you've done for our school. Thank you for everything you've done for me personally. And I want to assure this community that every dime that's been invested in your education is a really, really good investment that we know is going to come back to us tenfold. Congratulations.
Mr. Mayor, alderpersons, members of the audience, thanks for joining us. We're certainly proud to have this bunch in front of you. As they entered high school, we began a dialogue that said there's nothing more important for us than to develop in ourselves and those that we're blessed to teach character, competence, chemistry, and courage. You see each of those 4 characteristics readily demonstrated here in front of you. This is a innocent bunch, only limited by their dreams, only limited by their work ethic, only limited by whatever goal sets in front of them. And I am confident that in a few years we're going to see remarkable things as a result of your dreams, your work ethic, and your investment. Because folks, you have truly demonstrated the character, the competence, and the chemistry that's expected to go out and behave in a courageous manner and change our world for the better. We're excited about that. Most folks in my position look for an opportunity to leave on top. Thank you for providing that for me. Have a great one.
And I want to get the alderman, I want to get behind you, please, and get a picture. A special picture. Just like
Yes, that.
And if any parents want a picture, this would be a good time.
Mr. Nose, if you just scoot to your left. Yes, this window right here. You can open your certificates. Roll it back. Okay, let's roll it. Rather you're just behind it. All right, are we right there? 1, 2, 3. Oops. Flash. 1, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3.
Hang on. 1, 2, 3.
Don't leave yet. Wait, don't leave yet. When the parents have got something for you guys to do. Wait, they're all lined up. Break. We'll be one hand.
There we go.
Okay, thanks everybody for being here tonight. Thank you. You're welcome to stay if you want. sure, of course. Yeah, good to see you. Yeah, sure. Thank you. You want to say a few words? You want to say a few words? Hey, Bradley? Was she here tonight? No. Okay, so that's fine.
And also there was another one that was omitted, I think, because someone else wasn't here. So.
Okay.
The prettiest girl.
Was that Duncan that wasn't here tonight?
Yeah, Michael wasn't here, and I think Jessica has his.
Michael wasn't here, Michael Duncan wasn't here, and then Renee Goodman.
Well, I gave one to, I think I might have given out an extra one. Oh, Michael had Michael Duncan.
Jessica.
They want to move back a couple of days.
Yeah, we don't want to be on TV. Where do you want to go? You lead the way.
You see how many people are interested in meetings? You see how many people are interested in meetings? All that.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started now. Welcome, everyone. This is the 14th day of May 2018. Welcome to summer. I hope you enjoyed the 5 days of spring we had this year. So we have 4 public hearings. First is a public hearing on ordinance number 1499, an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the city of Tullahoma, Tennessee, as set forth in the Tullahoma Municipal Code, which is ordinance number 1392, to rezone a .728-acre parcel located at the intersection of East Orange Street and South Cornish Street from R2 Medium Density Residential District to C2 General Commercial District. Anyone in the audience wish to address that rezoning request? Mr. Lawson, if you don't mind, could you step to the podium and just brief the board on the action of the Planning Commission, please, sir?
Okay. This particular rezoning, they held a meeting on March the 19th, and the Planning Commission voted 6-1 to send a favorable recommendation for the request.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Lawson?
Who was the opposition?
Alderman Doug.
What were your reasons?
I feel like rezoning from residential to commercial is not really the best route for that spot.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, hold. Anyone in the audience? Seeing none, we'll go to the second public hearing. A public hearing on ordinance number 1500, an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the city of Tullahoma, Tennessee, as set forth in the Tullahoma Municipal Code, which is ordinance number 1392, to rezone an 18.15-acre parcel located at 300 Leathermill Road from C2 General Commercial District to A Agricultural District. Anyone in the audience wants to address this issue? Mr. Lawson.
Planning Commission held a public hearing on March the 19th and voted for the request, or voted unanimously to send the Board of Mayor and Aldermen a favorable recommendation on the request.
Any questions for Mr. Lawson?
Mr. Lawson, is that property adjacent to, it's being rezoned from commercial to agricultural, correct?
Yeah.
Is the property adjacent to it to the west, is that already agricultural?
Yes. To the west is agriculture.
There's a farmhouse there currently.
I believe so.
Okay. Fine, thank you.
Anything else? All right, thank you, Mr. Lawson. Okay, third, a public hearing on ordinance number 1501, an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of the City of Tullahoma, Tennessee, which is ordinance number 1392, by amending Article 7, sign regulations. Interim City Administrator Paul Blackwell or Mr. Lawson?
I'll go ahead and take it,
Okay.
Mr. Mayor. The request here is to change the sign ordinance that currently reflects that you can't have a sign on the exterior of your building, on the side of the building. This will change that to where you can now have a sign on the exterior of the building that does not front a public street.
Thank you for the explanation. Anyone in the audience wish to address the issue? Any board member have a question?
I'd just like to comment on that because I've been looking at some properties in town that don't front. You know, they have a great exposure on the side of the building, but it's not on front on the street. Perfect place for a sign. And there are signs like that that have been grandfathered in the past that were there. So I'm glad that we got the zoning to agree with what the grandfathered signs were and allow that to take place. Very good.
Thank you, Mr. Norris. Anyone else? All right, we'll close that public hearing. And the fourth public hearing, a public hearing on Resolution 1753, a resolution to amend both the Comprehensive Transportation Plan and the Major Thoroughfare Plan of the City of Tullahoma, Tennessee, by changing the classification of Ledford Mill Road from a local street to a collector street. Anyone in the audience wish to address this issue? Seeing none, Interim City Administrator Paul Blackwell for an explanation.
All right, sir, thank you. Currently, Ledford Mill Road is classified as a local road. This is a request to change it to a collector road. By changing it to a collector, there'll be money available for repairs that are coming from the state as opposed to the city having to fund repairs.
Thank you for the explanation. Any questions? All right, thank you. So we will close the public hearing, and we've already called the roll. We've already had the invocation. We've already had the pledge. We're now very pleased to recognize our honorary alderman tonight. Our honorary alderman is Miss Laura Baker. She is an outstanding student at Tullahoma High School. She will graduate with honors and distinction on May the 25th. She has a GPA of 4.31. 1.3. It's still pretty good. In fact, it's very good. In fact, I'm not sure that I have ever read as many honors classes as I'm getting ready to read. Honors Algebra, Honors English 1 and 2, Honors Biology, Honors Chemistry 1 and 2, Honors U.S. Government, Honors Economics. And she has just completed earlier this month 21 hours of dual enrollment at Montlow State College. She's very active in HOSA, the National Honor Society, Mu Alpha Theta, Mayor's Youth Council, Tullahoma Wrestling Mat Girl, I don't know what that is. Leadership positions on an international mission team, we talked about that earlier this evening, and very active in the Girl Scouts. She has received numerous awards throughout the Scout program, most recently granted the Gold Award, which we recognized you at an earlier meeting, and some others, the highest honor to a Girl Scout. Only 6% of Girl Scouts ever achieve this honor. So we're very pleased to recognize you and give you an opportunity to tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, I will talk about my Gold Award project. My Gold Award project was making blessing blankets for people with dementia, specifically Alzheimer's. And they're called busy blankets generally, and this one had 8 activities on it for cognitive stimulation, just to keep hands busy.
Very nice.
And they're distributed to NHC here in Tullahoma. Also, the international mission trip is a mission trip to the City of Children in Ensenada, Mexico. I'm very involved in that mission team, and it's an orphanage. And my trip this year is from June 23rd to the 29th, so that's very soon.
Very good. Well, we're very pleased that you're with us tonight, and in a few minutes we'll call on you on any additional activities that you want to announce or anything like that. But in the meantime, if you would stand at your desk there, we'll recognize you and present your certificate, recognizing you as the honorary alderman.
All right, look at me first. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There we go.
you want to?
Please share with me.
Oh, congratulations. Speaking of mom, Ms. Baker, if you would introduce your mom.
This is my mom, Beth Baker.
Welcome, Ms. Baker. Okay, we're also, I believe, Acting Chief Marsh is with us tonight. If you would step to the podium, please, sir. So we're pleased to recognize National Police Week 2018 in honor of the service and sacrifice of those law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty while protecting our communities and safeguarding our democracy. Whereas there are approximately 900,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Tullahoma Police Department. And whereas there have been 58,627 assaults against law enforcement officers in 2016, resulting in approximately 16,677 injuries. Whereas the first recorded death in 1791, more than 20,000 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and have been killed in the line of duty, including 5 members of the Tullahoma Police Department. And whereas the names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., and whereas 360 new names of fallen heroes are being added to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial this spring, including 129 officers killed in 2017 and 231 officers killed in previous years. And whereas the service and sacrifice of all officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund's 30th Annual Candlelight Vigil on the evening of May 13, 2018. And whereas May 15th is designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of all fallen officers and their families, and U.S. flags should be flown at half-staff. Therefore, be it resolved that on behalf of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, I, Lane Curley, Mayor of the City of Tullahoma, Tennessee, by virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim the week of May 13 through 19, 2018 as Police Week in Tullahoma, and publicly salute the service of law enforcement officers in our community and in communities across the nation. You're recognized for any comments you would like to make, please, sir.
I would like to invite everyone out tomorrow at noon for our Police Memorial Program. We'll be followed by a reception at the Civic Center. Refreshments will be provided by the Mount Zion Kitchen Baptistry. So if everyone would want to come out, we'd appreciate to see you there. We have a short program, but we think you would enjoy it. And just to honor our 5 fallen officers through the years.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions of Captain Marsh? Acting Chief, sorry. Thank you. Okay, anyone in the audience have anything to address the board that's not later on the agenda? Dr. Leffler, I presume.
310 Old Park Street. 3 things. First thing is that, as you know, Paul Cooley, the chairman of the We Care Committee, on Sunday at Christmas, gathering of ministers, he cast the vision of having a unity prayer time. Okay, there will be in its fruition coming in place this next Sunday at 2:30 at Fraser McEwen Park. It's supported by the Coffee County Ministerial Association, and everybody's welcome to come. Second issue deals with, I've had a chance as a private citizen to talk with Wayne Quayles, the person who's doing the search for the superintendent of schools. And I am really impressed by the process that Mr. Quayles is going through. as well as the process that's going on within the Board of Education. And for those out there that are praying, I would encourage you to pray for protection for Mr. Quayles, that he can complete his task. It's a really good, he's going about it the right way, and he needs to be able to complete that task. The third issue I want to bring up deals with Oak Park. I was advised last week that some of the residents, or at least one resident, had asked to have their Oak Park decision by the Plan Commission to appeal it, and that the city turned that down, and they had to go to Chancery Court, which I think they did. My point for bringing this up is that in developing a process, a citizen-friendly process for dealing with these kinds of issues, there should be some mechanism where citizens, regardless of their financial means, can be able to have their grievances heard, and without them requiring them to take us to court. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We'll take that under advisement. Thank you. Okay. Anyone else in the audience? Seeing none, we will proceed. We're ready for board reports. Ms. King, please, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor. Last week, I attended the horseplay luncheon and worked that in the takeout line. Our work at Weichert, we always support that and volunteer to do that. So it's a wonderful organization. If you haven't been, you may want to try to do that next year. It was very, very well attended. And as I'm the liaison for the Tourism Committee, we will be having a meeting this week. We have 12 or 13 board members that will be, or committee members that will be meeting with us. So we're looking forward to that. Steve May is leading our way, so we're excited about him and his vision and things that he can bring forth to the table. So, thank you, Mayor.
I agree. Alderman Duncan, please, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a few things I want to run through pretty quickly and I've got a couple of things I want to expound on, but I did the coffee chamber, the city service awards banquet, city manager's retirement party, mayor's planning and coordinating meeting, which I think was was chaired by Alderman Renee Keene and did an excellent job. And
we need a good chair. I hear that all the time.
Well, she does an excellent job every time she does it. And I did attend a thing called Jazzathon, which is Alabama A&M has a radio station, it's a jazz and blues radio station. They They're an NPR radio station, with their National Public Radio Station, and they do a fundraiser once a year, and they do it like for 9 days. And I used to go down every day for 9 days, but I got where I kind of got busy with some other things, so I don't get to do that anymore. But I did do 3 days of it. So I was back and forth to Alabama for 3 days, and one of the days is the disc jockey in the afternoon always does he has a poetry corner, he calls it. And he does it just regular poetry from CDs and outside people. But during this Jazzathon, he always does a live poetry corner. So he invites all his friends from all over Huntsville to do spoken word poetry. Now, I'm not a spoken word poet. I do general the poetry that we all understand a little bit better. But anyway, he always invites me in. Like I've been doing this for like 18 years now. So I'm back and forth, and I do this with all these young people, and they're in there. And to say that everybody gets an opportunity to do their own, these are all creative people that do their own work and create these poems themselves. And so anyway, but I got to participate with them once again. Like I said, this is been going on for a long time. And I was very last. I placed myself last on there because I didn't want to interfere with any of this young talent that ran out of time. I wanted to make sure they got their time. So anyway, because I've done it before. But it's like several hours, a couple hours of it I know out on the internet. It was all recorded, streamed live throughout the world. So it's out there now on the internet on their Facebook page. So that was just one aspect of that. Then I was back and forth to other aspects of it. But I had a nephew that graduated. My baby sister, anybody that knows her, Rita Duncan, she had her youngest son graduate from college this weekend. So I had to leave Huntsville that Sunday morning to come back to Tullahoma, then go to Chattanooga for the graduation. It was a long day, needless to say, but it worked out really good. Anyway, for Mother's Day, I do my annual Mother's Day poem, and I used to write one for my mother every Mother's Day. And since she's no longer with us, and I try to do something and share it with somebody. So I got a copy today. Maybe we'll get a chance later on to read it to all the fine mothers of Tullahoma and surrounding areas. But I did get yesterday the chance to I did my special edition of this, and all the ladies at Mount Zion Baptist Church, which is my church, got copies of it. So, and all the gentlemen did too. I think it was printed in their program, so copies. But I took a special copy of it to my favorite lady right now. She's Mrs. Mary Duncan, who happens to be Oprah's favorite teacher. And I took her copy, went to Nashville, and hand-delivered it to her. So she had fallen earlier this week, I think, but she's doing great now. So anyway, it was a blessed day for me. So great occasion. And one last thing is that Mount Zion will be hosting a world-class gospel singing at Mount Zion here in Tullahoma. It's one of six. This will be one of 6 sites where the tour is going to. It's called the SAG Tour, Saving Our Generation Tour. And these are world-class gospel artists that will be coming to Tullahoma on the 29th of this month at 7 o'clock at Mount Zion Baptist Church in town. So it's going to be a grand occasion, and tickets are very nominal, and it's going to be a great occasion. So look forward to that.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Blanks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a few things. Also attended Jody Balt's retirement celebration held over at the community center. Very nice. This is our first meeting without Jody, but we're under the command of.
So far, so good, right?
So far, done a great job.
Yeah.
Also went to the Chamber Coffee. I got there real late, but I did get to eat a sausage biscuit. Had some constituents call me concerning the rating that Tenova got on the hospital. I'm happy to say that in the near future, the CEO of Tenova Harton's going to come and address the board, hopefully to address some of those concerns and to tell us about something coming up in the future that's positive. Only other thing I have is Shop Tullahoma, and that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mathis.
Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Mathis.
Coach Mathis.
All kinds of names, right? I did attend the employee recognition. Those people with many years of service in Tullahoma, very well attended, very nice to witness this. I did attend the Soapbox Derby. I got there just as the rain hit, so it was my fault that actually happened. And then today we did the groundbreaking for the animal shelter, and we had 2 dogs that came out and visited with us, and those people need to be there and see those animals and see. Then you will see why they don't kill.
Yeah.
I got you.
Very good. Yep, I agree. Thank you, Mr. Mathis. Ms. Dunn, Alderman Dunn.
Sure. I went Saturday to the Hickerson Station Fire Hall, had a breakfast, and then I went to Hillsborough Fire Department for their lunch, so I was quite full by the end of the day on Saturday. And it really made me very thankful for our city fire department because, and I know all those folks out there are volunteers, and that's a hard job. So I'm glad that Tullahoma has a full staff here. I also got a phone call from some constituents concerned about Harton, so I'm glad to know that we'll hear from them soon. And I had some calls from constituents concerning an intercom system at Bel Air School where they could hear the announcements in their backyard. So I did contact the central office, and as far as I know, that should be righted soon. So.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Dunn. Alderman Norris.
Thank you, Mayor. Of course, I also attended City Administrator Balt's retirement. He sent him off in good style. The good thing about Jody is we're not sending him very far away. We can always reach out to him if we need to. Along with Alderman King, did attend horseplay last Friday as well. Also attended the Tennessee Tech graduation. And the first person I saw was Dr. Blanks, and we had to wait until. Anyway, it's a great occasion to have that. And I understand that's where you're planning to attend, as you'll tell us in a minute. But great school. Attended the animal shelter as well today with the groundbreaking there. Also, last Tuesday, I attended, first time in several months, I attended the Arnold Community Council to catch up on things, all things Arnold. And last Tuesday evening, we had the Airport Authority Board meeting. I want to elaborate on that a bit. It turns out at that meeting, we did have our representative from the AOPA, Airliners Owners and Pilots Association, was with us and announced that AOPA is planning a major fly-in for, it's in the 19th, it's our 50th anniversary or something to that effect. One is east of the Mississippi and one's west of the Mississippi. And our board has decided that we're going to go for the one that's east of the Mississippi next year. This will be a biggie. To do that, we've got to raise some money with sponsorships, but those sponsorships will have to come from the region, major entities like Nissan and those big pocket people. But the Board of Mayor and Aldermen are invited next Friday, this coming Friday, the 18th, at between 5 and 5:30. Our representative on the board, Carla Smith, will be coming back from a meet that they'll be at with the rest of that board of AOPA directors. There'll be a half a dozen senior executives from AOPA. I'd like to invite everyone from the Board of Mayor and Aldermen to attend that. It's not an event, it's just a stopover, but we'd like to introduce them to Tullahoma to show them how welcome they would be to have their fly-in here. They had a fly-in a couple of years ago. It was very successful, but this is a biggie with an air show. They'll have one air show east of Mississippi, one air show west of Mississippi. So this will be, depending on the tailwind that they'll be having, coming back from another event, it'll be between 5 and 5:30 on Friday afternoon. And so I'll get an email tickler out to all the board and any of the staff that would care to attend. You're certainly welcome. This, we want to put our best foot forward to let the AOPA know that Fredericksburg, Maryland might be where they are now, and they've been for a while, but they sometimes consider relocating. Tullahoma would be a great place to have headquarters for AOPA.
Very nice, yep, very nice. Well, Ms. Baker, anything you'd like to add?
Just upcoming stuff for seniors. There's some awards. There's an awards night on Thursday and an awards day on Friday of this week, and graduation is the 25th, and project graduation follows that evening.
So I forgot to ask you a few minutes ago what your plans are after graduation. Do you mind sharing with the group?
I'm going to go to Tennessee Tech in the fall and study pre-optometry.
That's what I understand. Yeah.
Salud.
Yeah. Very nice. Well, again, welcome and glad you're here. Okay, just a couple of things. Ms. Bryce is here, I believe, and I asked her to give the board a recap on where we are with the city administrator search process. Ms. Bryce.
Thank you, Mayor. We started recruiting for the city administrator's position about 6 weeks ago. The position closed on May 1st, and we received 48 applications. We recruited and actually posted the position with MTAS, the International City Managers Association, Tennessee Municipal League, locally as well. So what we have done at this point is we have put together a citizens search committee. As you're aware, the mayor asked for recommendations for that committee to serve, individuals to serve on that board. So we have, Dr. Frank Glass, retired former Montler president. We have Howard Tucker, who is also retired. He was the HR director at MTech. We have Patricia Burks-Jelks. She's the HR director for UTSI. We also have with us Brian Gagnier. He is the store manager at Lowe's. And then also Joe Abraham. He is the general manager with Bowman Broadcasting. So we met initially, and Hannah Rogers did a bit of a short training session. We distributed the resumes, and we are going to be individually reviewing and scoring those applicants and ranking them to determine our top candidates. We'll get together, decide who those top candidates are, and then narrow those down. Optimally, giving the top 3 candidates to the mayor for your consideration. In order to get to that point, once we narrow it down, say to whether it's the top 8 or the top 10, we'll have video conferencing interviews and be able to, again, use that process to hopefully give you all the best candidates to consider for this position. We're hoping we'll be able to do that within the next 3 weeks. So that's our general time frame.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, Ms. Bryce. Just a couple of other announcements. As was earlier mentioned by Acting Police Chief Marsh, the police memorial is tomorrow at noon at South Jackson. Hopefully all of you can make plans to be there. On Wednesday is the Healthier Tennessee meeting. That'll be at 10:30 on Wednesday at D.W. Wilson Community Center. Tuesday the 22nd is the Taste of Tullahoma, which will be downtown. On Wednesday the 23rd at 5 p.m. is a parliamentary procedure training class that was earlier suggested, and we'll be holding that, and everyone is welcome. I've extended invitations to all of the independent agency board members, and you'll be getting an invitation as well. And of course, on May the 26th and 27th is our Art Festival. And please note that 2 weeks from tonight, or 2 weeks from today, is Memorial Day, so we will not meet that Monday, but we'll meet the next day, Tuesday. Okay? All right. We're ready for the city attorney report. Mr. Worsham, please. Thank you. Interim City Administrator Blackwell.
No report, sir.
Okay. All right, we have 4 items on the consent agenda. 1868 minutes of April 23rd, 2018 regular meeting. 1869 state contract purchase of turf sprayer. 1870 approval to participate in world's largest swimming lesson. 1871 acceptance of bids North Jackson Street, William Northern Build traffic signal, Boulevard traffic signal. Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Noah, seconded by Alderman Duncan. All those in favor of the consent agenda as presented, vote green. Opposed, vote red. Motion passes 7-0. Mr. Blackwell, any other old business that needs to be addressed tonight?
No, sir, there isn't.
All right, we have several items of new business. Ordinance number 1499, an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the city of Tullahoma, Tennessee, as set forth in the Tullahoma Municipal Code, which is ordinance number 1392, to rezone a .72 acre parcel located at the intersection of East Warren Street and South Cornish Street from R2 Medium Density Residential District to C2 General Commercial District for passage on the first of 2 readings. We earlier held a public hearing. Is there a motion to adopt?
Move to adopt.
1499. Proper motion by Mr. Noah. Is there a second?
Second.
Proper seconded by Mr. Duncan. Any discussion? We ready to vote? All those wishing to vote for ordinance 1499 on first reading, vote green. Opposed, vote red. Has everyone voted? Motion passes 5-2. Ordinance number 1500, an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the city of Tullahoma, Tennessee, as set forth in the Tullahoma Municipal Code, which is ordinance number 1392, to rezone an 18.15 acre parcel located at 300 Ledford Mill Road from C2 General Commercial District to A Agricultural District for passage on the first of 2 readings. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance 1500?
Move to adopt.
Second.
Proper motion. Did you get that?
Blanks, yes.
We earlier heard that the Planning Commission approved this unanimously, as I recall. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of ordinance 1500, vote green. Opposed, vote red. Motion passes 7-0. Ordinance number 1501, an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of the city of Tullahoma, Tennessee, which is ordinance number 1392, by amending Article 7 sign regulations for passage on the first of 2 readings. Is there a motion to adopt 1501?
Move to adopt.
Second.
Proper motion, properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor of ordinance 1501, vote green. Opposed, vote red. Motion passes 7-0. Resolution number 1753, a resolution to amend both the comprehensive transportation plan and the major thoroughfare plan of the city of Tullahoma, Tennessee by changing the classification of Ledford Mill Road from a local street to a collector street for adoption. Is there a motion to approve resolution 1753?
Move to adopt.
Second.
Proper motion, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of resolution 1753, vote green. Opposed, vote red. Motion passes 7-0. Resolution number 1754, a resolution authorizing the city of Tullahoma to submit an application to participate in a Rural Business Development Grant, RBGB, offered by USDA for adoption. Let me get a motion in a second, and we'll get an explanation.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Proper motion, properly seconded. If you look, Alderman Blanks. If you look on page 31 of your agenda, you'll see the resolution. This would make an application for 70% reimbursable funding. And this is a project by the Tullahoma Tourism Council to help fulfill a one-year period ending June 30th, 2019, the needs of local tourist attractions and business owners by customizing and providing an innovative Explore Tullahoma mobile application that uses beacon technology to help market their businesses and attractions. It's a pretty neat program. All right, we have a motion and a second.
Yes,
Any
sir.
discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Resolution 1754, vote green. Opposed, vote red. Motion passes 7-0. Okay. We have item number 1872, approval of participation in fire pup program. Well, we have perhaps the tallest fire pup in the state of Tennessee.
The blind shall be led by the blind.
All right, let me get a motion in a second. Is there a motion to approve participation in the fire pup program?
Motion approved.
Second.
Proper motion, proper second. Chief Shasteen, the floor is yours for an explanation.
Does he make me look small? Thank you, Mayor and Board. We're coming to you tonight to ask for permission to participate once again in the National Fire Safety Council fundraiser. We've been doing this now, makes 30 years we've been participating in this. While we're doing it now, we have to raise money to purchase items to give out to the children at school in the fall, before, during, and after Fire Prevention Week, which is in October. What this company does for us, they send out letters to several of you as well as businesses in town requesting funds to support the printed items, the hats that you have in front of you, and the Fire Pup program. And actually, this year, we're going to ask for something special. We're going to ask for a new Fire Pup. We try to get one every 5 years, but it's going to be a friend for this Fire Pup, because he gets kind of lonely sometimes. So we're going to get a friend for him. You know, he's 5 years old, which in dogs' lives, that's 35 years old. So, you know, he's kind of showing his age a little bit.
We just got the pound.
Yeah, I was looking while we were down at the groundbreaking, actually, but I didn't see anything that would hardly fit this bill.
Yeah.
So we're working on that. That's going to be about $4,000. That is an American-made suit. It's a very, very good piece of equipment, and as you can see, this is 5 years old. It gets used often, and it's still in pretty good shape. So the inside, there's some temperature involved, so the inside seems to deteriorate quicker than the outside. But we would just appreciate your support in this endeavor. Chief Watkins started it 30 years ago, participating with the National Fire Safety Council. We'd like to continue that. It doesn't cost the city of Tullahoma anything, only our businesses and people that want to give. They certainly don't have to. We just ask them.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Fire Pup, have you ever chased a truck in a church parking lot? Thought so.
How about
checking?
We try to keep him in close range, but
How does he do around fire hydrants?
he behaves quite well. He's quite trained. He has no accidents. Or at least they don't tell me when he does. Does anybody have any questions?
I think we better move on.
Could I ask a quick favor? Could we get a quick photo of Fire Pup with the board behind him?
Sure.
Since this might be his last meeting, I'm not saying, but, and with your hats on, please. I'd like to also ask the city manager acting that if he would mind joining us for the photo with his red fire hat on.
I won't release it right away.
This sounds like a blackmail setup.
Doesn't it?
I've been trying for 10 years to get Chief Blackwell in a fire hat.
He got your name.
Are we coming back?
Where's it? Actually, yeah, sit back down there. Okay, the pumps won't go up. Who's behind the All right, y'all let this get it. Just give us what you need. What's yours?
In the car.
Well, oh, wait a minute. Where'd you go?
We should make him wear mine, shouldn't we?
Ray. Stand over next to Renee. Can you stand next to Renee? If you step on the next thing, we'll get to see it, right? Can you step back? There we go, now, and then move over just a little closer to it. That's it. There we go. All right. All right, but look at the camera. Yeah, stand beside you. Hang on, still got to see it. You got to move over. You stand back. There we go. All right. That's perfect.
Thank you very much. Good plan, that's good. Don't let this have a hat on.
Chief Chastain, I hope he's happy. All right, do we have a motion in the second?
We do.
Any discussion? We're ready to vote. All those wishing to vote for 1872, vote green, opposed, vote red. Motion passes 7-0. Okay, 1873, approval of performance agreement, vinyl radio. This is our Independence Day celebration, part of our entertainment. Is there a motion to approve the agreement?
Move to approve.
Second.
Proper motion, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of 1873, vote green, opposed, vote red. Motion passes 7-0. 1874, approval of performance agreement 6-wire. Once again, this is for the Independence Day celebration. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Second.
Proper motion, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion as presented, vote green, opposed, vote red. Motion passes 7-0. 1875, approval to submit Tennessee Agriculture Enhancement Application Tree Grant. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Proper motion. Any discussion? Are you ready to vote? You saw an explanation in your book. All those in favor of the motion as presented, vote green, opposed, vote red. Motion passes 7-0. 1876, approval to submit Vinery Works Fund grant. Again, the explanation is in your book. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Duncan, seconded by Mr. Norris, I believe. Any discussion?
This is to help continue to grow this program. So.
Correct. Birthday celebration. All right, all those in favor of the motion as presented, vote green, opposed, vote red. Motion passes 7-0. Mr. Blackwell, any other new business that you're aware of?
No, sir, there's none.
All right, we are adjourned. We'll go immediately into the beer board portion of the agenda. We have one item, 18 BB11, minutes of April 23rd, 2018 beer board meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Dr. Blanks, seconded by Mr. Norris. All those in favor of the consent agenda is presented, vote green, opposed, vote red. Has everyone voted? Motion passes 7-0. Any other beer board business you're aware of?
No, sir.
You're doing such a good job so far. All right, no other business. We are adjourned. We're going to the board study session. So I'll turn the floor over to you or your designee.
Where my designee ran off to.
For
While Mr. Brooks is getting that set up, I'd like to Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you tonight to talk about the budget for the upcoming year. First off, I'd like to recognize Sue Wilson for her hard work in putting this together and holding my hand as I navigated through that dark room, or this dark room. She's been very good about giving me explanations, as I've told many people, that oftentimes as a department head, you think you know how the city operates. Then you get into this type of position and you learn there's a whole lot more to how the city operates than just what's on the surface. So again, I thank Sue and all the department heads for working closely with me and helping me to navigate the first few days that I've been in this position. You should all have the handout in front of you. It's very similar in format to what you've had in years past. We'll just be updating it with some of the current information. Are we good? Okay, well, next slide. Tonight, what we're going to talk about, you have in front of you the status of the current year, debt service, major reserve accounts, FY19 budget assumptions, the budget adoption schedule. There we go. Well, that's no wrong one. You got me going the wrong direction here. I want to go to this one right here. This is the one I want. So which one's advancing? Okay, we'll give that a try. Status of the FY18 budget, the current budget year that we're in. We're experiencing sales tax revenues that are 2% above those of in fiscal year 17, with the new retailers that we anticipate in fiscal year 19 that we're all aware of. Currently, property tax is at 96% collected, which is the same as last year at the same time. Motel tax is up 3% year to date. And again, the general fund expenditures are tracking, with the exception of some high vehicle repair costs, which are due to age of the fleet. FY18 programs and things that we're involved in this year, I think are very commendable to the staff. A lot of things going on. First there that's identified as Get Fit Tullahoma. We can see some of the accomplishments there. Many people participating in fitness programs. The Arts Council, something that's coming on board that's new, and of course, as you mentioned earlier, the big festival coming up at the end of the month. Cool and connected downtown, use of some grants to create the free Wi-Fi district downtown we've all heard about, and seen some demonstrations of some new things that are going to be on the horizon for the downtown and the Wi-Fi system. The development of the downtown committee, talk about energizing the downtown and to move it into the next chapter. And also the Explore Tullahoma app that we had a demonstration on a couple weeks ago. Continue on with the 18 programs, the Go Green Tullahoma. We've heard quite a bit about that. One of the big accomplishments has been the conversion to the LED lights. You can tell a marked difference when you go by some of the old lights and you see those compared to the new LED lights. Public safety, we had a lot of accomplishments in the police department. One of the greatest ones is 589 pounds of unused, expired, or no longer needed drugs that have been turned in. And as you know in the news, the opioid issues, this is one way for us to combat that here in the city. We have our collection box in the police department, and this is the highest number that we've had since the department started in 2012 and started that program. And in those 6 years, we've collected over 2,400 pounds of medications. So that's a ton of pills, if you can think how small a pill is and how many it takes to make just a pound. The police officers have engaged in the Adopt a Cop program in all of our elementary schools, spending a lot of time being adopted by a school, continuing that concept of partnering with our kids at a very young age. We've conducted many programs for organizations, groups, schools, different civic organizations, and as well the fire department has been conducting programs in all the elementary schools and several civic organizations reaching approximately 14,000 people. So when you join what the fire department's doing in our elementary schools, what the police department's doing in our elementary schools, we think we're setting a very good example for these young kids and creating some partnerships that'll be paying off in the years to come. The fire department has issued over 2,500 smoke alarms installed to date and still available. They have some, and of course contact the fire department for assistance in that. Recreation, we know that there's a lot of activities going on in the recreation department. With, of course, the warmer weather starting to, well, be upon us, recreation is going to have a lot more activities and outdoor activities coming up. New business development and assistance. You can see some of the statistics for the loans that the city has made, how many grants have been awarded, and all of those are intended to help those businesses to improve their business and to, as Dr. Blank says, encourage people to shop local. Some of the grant programs that we have in effect, you can see that almost all the departments are involved in grants in some way or another. Some of them are pretty substantial and some may not be a lot, but when you look at trying to get money that can help your organization, you really don't look at how much it is, but how can you put it to use. Some of the additional projects that have been started in this year and will be carried over into next year or will begin in early fiscal year. Of course, the South Jackson Civic Center improvements. I think we've all been down there and see how great that looks, and tomorrow will be one of the first showings with the police memorial down there, so people will, I think, really be impressed with what's occurred there. The animal shelter, many of us attended that groundbreaking today. The new police facility, of course, we're excited about that. We've started to look at some of the floor plans, starting to get the opportunity to see what it might be looking at here in about 16 to 18 months. Street paving, there's some money allocated to improve our streets. The pavement management system is oftentimes one of the most crucial elements within a city, because everybody that comes to us generally comes over a road. Our resources come in through on the roads, and if our roads are in disrepair, people are going to recognize that. Planning and land use study, there's a request to have an official study done, and then of course replace CD Stamp's roof and HVAC. So those are some projects that you'll be seeing in the coming fiscal year. The debt service status, as you'll see, and you've seen this slide many times before, it's a comparison with school and city debt coming to a total. And you'll see that there's a couple spikes, and then there's some reductions, further reductions, and then down the line, years from now, there's even more reduction. And Sue Wilson has a very good explanation for any of those that anyone may have. Then we talk about some of the bullet points that she identified in debt service. Deal with things like refinancing, reduced interest rates, capital projects, loan payments are all set by some drop in city debt. The education sinking fund has increased quite a bit as the payments have been under the budget because the interest rates have been low, and they were able to put some of that extra money into their fund. See where the school annual debt will decrease in fiscal year 22, but what we're seeing now, the interest rates are beginning to be on the rise a little bit, and there'll be some negative impacts on the upcoming school and the city payments. One point that was mentioned is that major projects shouldn't be bonded unless the revenue for that debt has been identified and is available. The major reserve accounts, most people may say, well, what are the reserves? How much do we have? And this slide is going to give you a pretty good indication, with the blue being the general fund. The smaller bars there are solid waste and debt service. The darker one is the school, and then the green is the sinking fund. So you can see that there's some pretty good amounts, and they've been increasing over the years. How does that break down into numbers? You can look at the graph, but if you look at the numbers, it gives you a little better indication. You can see it's broken down by those 5 categories: city general, solid waste general, school sinking fund, and the city debt service. So you can see in 2013 what those starting balances were, and you can see in 2017 what those balances are currently. So again, I think in looking at this chart, we can all agree that the city reserves are looking very good. The city is in a very healthy fiscal situation at this point. So with FY19 just around the corner, what are we looking at? What are some of the assumptions that we can base our projections on? We're going to maintain our current programs. We'll start at the baseline as we have in the past, and then begin to build on the capital projects, and looking at things like a 2% step increase for our employees, renew the self-funded health insurance program, which will have a projected increase of about 2%. Continue to make the Duck River payment of $60,000. This is payment number 4. Continue the priority programs that impact economic development. That's several things in there: the tourism, downtown development, utilizing TIF financing, improving community development and quality of life. We talk about quality of life that we not only do we deserve, but we expect from our city. And many of those things, including fitness, environment, sports, and the arts. Some of the revenue estimates for FY19, we're expecting a 2% increase in property tax. Of course, this is a year of reassessment, so there'll be some delay in finding out what the certified rate will be this year. Sales tax are projected to increase about 2%, which is going to result in an increase for the schools of about $112,000. Also notified that the ADA for the schools have been increased. Business tax is expected to grow at about a rate of 8%, and that's based on the trend of the last 2 years. Motel growth, 3%. Again, very encouraging. But we will see a decrease of maybe about $44,000 from the slow decrease in the hall income tax that's being phased out. Pie chart kind of breaks down where everything, the revenues are coming from. Of course, right now, our property tax is the main source of income. So what we'd like to get to as a city, of course, is our sales tax being the main source of income. So you can kind of see that, how that's broken down. Some operating expenditures that we know are going to occur: utilities and gasoline. We don't expect any change there, and hopefully the LED conversion will see some reduction in those utility costs. Operating insurance expect to go up about 3%. Health insurance up 2%. As we face each year, as our vehicles get older, the need to replace them and maintain them is going to go up. The paving needs are going to be pretty much the same as last year, with possibly some additional money from some other sources. Emphasis on sidewalk repairs and replacing or repainting some of the cemetery fences. If you look around at some of the cemeteries, they're starting to show some of the age on their fencing. And this is the 3rd year for the fire department to replace their turnout gear. And I believe, if not mistaken, the chief had said that should go for about 7 years before we have to go to that replacement cycle again. Some of our expenses, where the majority of our cost is at. You can see 40% goes to Public Works, and you can see the breakdown may be a little difficult based on your color that is on your handout. Some other variables, as we said earlier, the state certified property rate won't be finalized for a little while, so that may result in the need for a continuing resolution for our budget. The MTAS per capita projections, again, for the school are not yet received. The mixed drink tax, that litigation is still ongoing. We still have a TUA payment in lieu of taxes, a pilot that's being worked through. And again, the variable interest rates are on the rise a little bit. Now, what have the departments asked for? That's always a question that's get asked. Well, what are our needs? But department heads have identified a total of 8 full-time positions, 3 part-time positions that would equate to about $506,000. Some additional operating expenses that would total about $139,000. New projects and programs, $308,000. Equipment additions and replacement, $563,000. Of course, as we know, these are things that, if we could shoot for the moon and have our wish list and everything, these are the things that department heads have identified that they need to make their departments even better than they already are. The budget adoption schedule, we've probably all seen that, familiar with it. The first reading will be May 29th, which is that special call meeting in 2 weeks. Second reading will be June 12th. Final reading possibly June 25th, depending on the continuing resolution, if we have a need for it. And it said their dates are subject to change pending receipt of the certified property tax rate. As I said at the beginning, thanks to Sue and her staff for putting this together, all the department heads that have helped do this and helped me to understand some of their needs, John Glass and of course Tom Robinson. So at this point, I'd ask if there's any questions. With no questions, then I would say that concludes my presentation, sir.
So we have a lot of work to do in the next 2
Gotta
weeks.
get a clarification on the second reading. That's on June the 12th. That's a Tuesday. That's an intentional Tuesday meeting.
June 11th is still the part of the TML conference.
That's correct. And the 12th is also,
Yep,
12th is part of the TML.
the morning
I thought it was over in the morning or afternoon.
It's over in the morning.
I believe it's over about noon.
Okay,
so
good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Very bad.
Okay, thanks, everybody. We'll see you 2 weeks and 1 day. 2 weeks and 1 day.
1 day.